lucky enough to have a chat with Dr. Renaud Pourpre. Renaud has a PhD in pathoepigenetics and is a co-host of the amazing and popular podcast, The Lonely Pipette. So it's great to talk to you, Renaud. You're obviously passionate about science communication. So why is this so important to you?
So thank you very much, Sam, for your invitation and for discussing a little bit about my journey there. And I'm really happy if the Lonely Pipette podcast is something that you really like, because this is something that comes from the heart. So yeah, why science communication? I mean, this is a big question. It's not easy to answer, but why this is important for me? Maybe I can answer it in two parts. First of all, it's maybe related to when I was still a researcher, because today I'm just fully dedicated to science communication. So I was doing a research in pathoepigenetics, as you were saying. This is something that is not really known from the public, the society. But still, there are a lot of very interesting stories, facts, knowledge, technologies that are developed there. From stories that are completely, on the first sight, looks not really important or not really exciting. But when you look deeper into it, you realize that they just open a lot of possibilities for what they can offer to the society. So I guess I started really to do science communication when I was at the end of my master, and then more during the PhD. And it was really because for me, I felt it was important to do science communication to let the society know what we are doing, because knowledge is key. When they have the knowledge, when they see what we are doing, first of all, the society can see that we're not just like wasting money or do a crazy thing in the lab, but we are just actually driven by curiosity, but with one single mission, which is what can I discover and learn that I can then offer to a lot of people, because I guess that most researcher wants to do that. They're not just curious about nature, they are just curious about knowing stuff so they can share it with the world. So maybe this is why, for me, science communication, it was just to not having knowledge inside the lab, but being shared with the people.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, you said you sort of first got into the sort of science communication side of things in your master's, your PhD. I mean, what were your first steps then? What what did you do?
Yeah, so the first step I did was to just apply to a contest, a video contest. It was a contest for communication for students. It was not scientific communication, but I decided to just take a GoPro, stick to my head, record during 72 hours in the lab, being weird to the other people. Like people were looking at me like what he's doing with this camera in his head. And then I just edit a video to just let the people know what was a day, likely what was a day in the life of a scientist inside the lab. So I didn't want to share the knowledge here, but the reality of our work, having some also little fun parts, like most of scientists are drug addicts with coffee and tea, probably. We drink a lot of coffee and tea. So yeah, this was my first step. And then I realized that I can really, that people were connecting with research in another way than just giving them a lesson, but they were willing to ask me more about my work when I shared what was the everyday life of it. So this was the first step. Then I got into the Pint of Science Festival because I've met Elodie Chabrol on the way, who you know,
Yes.
obviously. And then yeah, it was like the first step into the science communication, and I just started to do more videos, some podcasts, and just keep going and going.
That's an amazing journey. SciComm is obviously sort of essential for the public understanding of research. So what do you think are the challenges faced by science communicators when interacting with the public in particular?
Yeah, not an easy question too. I mean, I don't know if I will not change my mind later, but I have the feeling that science we are also changing our way to see how we should communicate science more and more, and obviously many of us were thinking that one model of sharing science communication was, you know, the deficit knowledge deficit model, which is the public and society don't know about topic, and we need to give them the knowledge so they can better take a decision, better understand why this is important more than that. But there are more and more research showing that this is absolutely not a consensus, and there are some alternative model of science communication that appears, and one that I really like. I mean, one I've worked with the most is one that is called, I think, the curiosity deficit model. And this is one based on the fact that instead of trying to fill the people with a lot of knowledge, maybe we should just try to make them connect more with a topic. And if we raise sufficiently curiosity, wonder, and this kind of, you know, spark that trigger them, push them to talk with family, friends, society about this topic, then this is a win, because obviously people will not turn into genetic expert or ecology expert. They all have a life, they all have a lot of things to do. But if we can get them curious about the topic, and they start to share about it, people will there will be more and more people talking about this, and so maybe we have a better impact than just trying to give them all the little details about a special topic. So this is something that I really use now in my video, and obviously the Cell World project, which maybe we'll talk about, is based on that, because I've met people on the way that really believe that this can have an impact. And today we are trying to also quantify and to see if the way we communicate science with curiosity is having an impact, to see if this is the way.
No, that's fascinating. So it's so much SciComm, so much more than, it's not science teaching, it's fostering that curiosity and interest in. Yeah, that's brilliant. Who are your SciComm heroes then, or the role models that inspire you?
So so I have to say that, I mean, this is, I mean, for French people maybe it would be quite obvious, but actually in France, in the landscape of science communication, we had a TV show called C'est pas sorcier, with someone called Jamy Gourmaud and Fred. And so it was a duo, two guys. Then they were joined by a woman, which is called Sabine. I don't remember the family name, but they were brilliant together. And what they were doing is they were communicating science by mixing, you know, on the field topic. Also recording some science popularization in the studio, having some interviews with researchers. So they were really built all the culture of science communication here in France, or at least they were the first initiator of this good vibe, and they are super popular here. So definitely the three of them were quite inspiring, because I was like, yeah, they get you interested for every kind of topic. So this is definitely something that's you know, raise awareness about thematics, but also inspire people to work in some science in the world. because they talk about genetic, the biology, physics, mathematics. And so when you discover how all the, you know, the cool stories in those topics, um, you, I mean, you, as a child, you can really realize that this is somewhere you want to work.
Yeah, creating awareness of the whole sort of huge array of science out there. Yeah, that's brilliant. So what advice then would you give to a scientist who would like to be more involved in science communication as an expert yourself?
Well, I guess this is something. The one advice I would give is the one I was following since the beginning. Even if I'm a science independent science communicator, you know, we say freelancer, we say independent in France. It's not because I'm independent or a freelancer that I'm alone. And actually, most of the projects that I've built, I'm not alone in them. All the time, I'm always working with someone. The podcast Learning Pipette, I'm working with Jonathan Reisman. For the Cell Worlds project, I'm working with a composer and another science communicator, and 26 teams of scientists. So everything is built through, you know, complementarity between skills, approaches, knowledge, and in this way, it's like, of course, we are not as fast as if we were alone, but we can definitely go further, because when I need someone to help me on something, they can bring it to the project, and by finding how you fit all together to build a, you know, more impactful project, I think this is a really good way to have less weight on your shoulders. And so for when you want to start as a researcher, when you want to start to do science communication, I really believe that finding someone that share your vision, your values, or the way you want to share it, and doing it together will definitely help, because you will not be alone. You will feel that you feel supported. You will feel that you can definitely have more creativity together. So this is just all benefits to do that.
Okay, that's great advice. So not being isolated, being open to collaborations, team, you know, networking. Yeah, okay. So you've we've mentioned, and you have, the Lonely Pipette. So you're a keen podcaster. Why do you think science podcasts are so popular?
Well, I think one thing is, I don't know if this is like supported by statistics, but one thing I like as a scientist and as a former researcher about podcasts is you can definitely listen to them everywhere, every time, every moment you want. This, you have less, you know, it requires less attention than a video, but you can still listen to inspiring conversation, learn about yourself, learn about the world by doing something else. And you know, everybody is quite busy today. People have a lot of things to do, and this is a media that definitely comes to fill those parts where you have to do some stuff. This is sometimes repetitive, this is sometimes boring. But the podcasts offer a way that you can turn this maybe not pleasant task to something that you learn. So this is probably one of the reasons. There is probably many other reasons, but I believe that podcast is a really good media, at least because it enables people to listen to it whenever they want, and compared to video or maybe a blog. I'm not sure about the blog, but you can really go deeper into honest and transparent conversation. It's quite surprising how the podcast open the people in front of a mic more than in front of a camera.
Yeah. So podcast is the companion then to the scientist there, pipetting away for hours at a time. I remember those days. So you're also an audio-visual content creator. So could you please tell us a little bit about your upcoming Cell Worlds immersive show?
Yeah, so Cell Worlds actually it's so I've mentioned it quite before, but this is a big project that we started with another science communicator. We started it. I mean, we released it at the beginning of this year. It was in February 2022, but we worked on it for 1 year before, during 1 year before. So we this is a Cell Worlds is a project. It's an art and science project where you discover your cell through a journey into the microscopic universe. So this is a project that was designed to not bring only knowledge, but to really rely on three key points. One is to do a poetic science popularization, so to give some knowledge, but not in an usual way. The other key point is the images of microscopy. So everything in this project is based on microscopic images, and so the work of 26 teams that worked with us until now. And the third one actually is music, because I mean, we wanted to. So the guy with who I started this is Terence Solier, who is also a former researcher from a neuroscientist, and we were joined by Ewan Lerb, who is a composer, and now also a realizator of movies. And by bringing these three key points, we really wanted to share and to raise awareness about ourselves and our biology through wonder and curiosity. This is exactly this mission. And so the music was a good way to really add a lot of more emotion, or to engage more the viewers, the people that look at the documentary, with the images and the message that we tell them, because this is a synergetic way to share information, and so in the way you are not having how can I say that, a classical documentary, but you have more something like an immersive documentary, where instead of being in the middle of a jungle looking at some species and understanding their life, you are in the middle of yourself. You're seeing cells that have behaviors, and you discover how they interact, how they behave, how they are important for our biology, and you learn some interesting thing about yourself, and why this is also important to take care of this. So there is a documentary. There is also immersive exhibition, which is displayed in France now for until the beginning of next year.
Mm-hmm.
And so the immersive show is complementary to the documentary, because if the documentary has a little bit more of science, I mean, it has science popularization, sorry. The exhibition is more like you're all about yourself. So it's another way to communicate science. It's like you would be lost during the first journey. At the end of the journey, you will learn. We give the people some clues about what they have seen, and then they have a chance to look at it again and to really discover with a really powerful music again, their cells and how they behave with each other. So this is two ways of communicating science. They are different. They are not targeted to the same public. They target different kind of people. But then we bridge the two works together, so people that have seen the documentary can go to see the exhibition, and vice versa. And so they have a chance to discover science in different ways.
That sounds fascinating. It's amazingly creative. I mean, how can people access the documentary? Is that something they can?
Yeah, sure. The documentary is for free. It's on YouTube. They can type directly Cell Worlds on YouTube. There is only one, so they should definitely find it.
Yeah.
This is on the YouTube channel Explorers. This is the three of us, Terence, you and I, who are doing science popularization there on YouTube. So we have other projects that are going to be published on this YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And so the exhibition, actually, today you have to move there to see it, but we are planning to do more. I mean, we hope to do more. But until then, we just recently started to do some what we called cinema experience, which is how we use the documentary to create a unique show where you discover science through a concert, a documentary, and an exchange with the researcher.
Gosh, that is that is amazing. I mean, I think you've kind of almost answered my last question, which was what is the future of science communication, and how do you think it will evolve over the coming years? Have you got any more to sort of add? I mean, obviously this is very sort of innovative, what you're doing now.
I truly believe that somehow science communication will be more and more connected to our feelings and emotion. I don't think this is incompatible having, neutral science, because you need to do research in a way that are not affected by your emotion. You need to have data, robust, statistically sustainable and everything. But then once you have a knowledge and once you have a consensus, why not share with the emotion of the researcher, with the same emotion of the researchers that have produced this data? Because actually, when you see and you talk with all these researchers, you realize that they are driven by feelings, by values, and they really get some feelings about what they are doing. Sometimes they do science because they want to. They are angry about a situation. They want to correct it. Some other are just super curious and they want to share this curiosity to discover unknown new path, new topics, new solution for our society. Some other people are touched emotionally with a lot of empathy about some situation, and this is why they got involved in research. So why we don't connect with those emotion and we inject them in our science communication? I believe this is not incompatible. This is definitely, you can really mix the two, and I believe it has two main benefits, which is people will see that researchers are human after all. And also people will see that science is reachable, is understandable, and they can really connect with it, no matter where they come from, what are their level of studies. They live in a world where science is everywhere, and they don't know, but they live with science already. So we should definitely show that they are part of it.
Yeah, definitely. So connecting with that human side of the scientist to help sort of break down the boundaries or the perceived boundaries. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and Lonely Pipette is also this. Is definitely, we were like, there are many topics we talk inside the lab about how we do science. So let's just talk freely and honestly about how it is. Trying to being positive also a little bit about that, because there are a lot of people that have a really good work of criticizing, and I really appreciate this work. I believe that the two type of work are needed. We should criticize and we should also find solutions. And so with Lonely Pipette, we are more about trying to find the solution and share it instead of just being angry about a situation.
Yeah. It's a very supportive podcast. I can confirm. But that's fabulous, Renaud. I mean, that's given some sort of great insight into SciComm. I think good luck with your Cell Worlds project. That's just awesome. And yeah, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Renaud.